Hello, everyone. It's Leslie Flowers, Trailblazer for Women in Business, and welcome to Awakening Your Infinite Potential Telesummit as part of Accelerate Experience Events 2018. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this next presenter. This is Marie Snider of Marie Snider Speaks. And I just want to tell you about Marie. She is an amazing teacher and mentor to speakers. She was born in Ohio and went to private Catholic schools all the way through college. And at Ursuline College, she completed a double major in English and theater and a minor in secondary education. Lots of credit hours. She is fond of saying that a master's degree in theater and $3.50 will get you a regular cup of coffee almost anywhere. After grad school, Marie performed with a professional improvisation company called the End Result Cult for about 2 years. She then went on to teach English speech and theater in private schools, and she also tried her hand at being a property manager. And then she came to local schools and began teaching high school. It's no surprise that she moved here from Cleveland because we got the Carolina blue sky and southern charm, as Marie says. So she started Marie Snider Speaks in 2013. And she also is a best-selling author on Amazon in her business book, 17 Legal Ways to Double Your Income. Love that, don't you? The legal ways. And her subjects include business body language to increase sales and credibility, tell your story so people learn to know, like, and trust you, and the effective 30-second elevator speech so that you're always remembered when people meet you. In October of 2016, Marie was a key speaker at Accelerate Experience, a one-day small business conference at the North Carolina Biotechnology Center in North Carolina. In March of 2017, Marie spoke at the Carolina Business Women's Conference. After retiring from the world of public school, Marie, as I said, tried several different things. However, her heart was with teaching. And she also, for fun, she loves to sing. She's a member of Durham Savoyards and sings in her church choir and in the shower. Welcome, Marie. I'm so excited you're here. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Leslie. It's a pleasure to be with you.
I can't think of anybody better than you, Marie Snider, to give us an amazing awakening of your own infinite potential and what happened next. And then if you'll bear with us, we may have a time to talk about another one, but I'm going to leave it to you to share about what happened. What was that awakening? What was it like? And then what did you do next?
Well, it's interesting. When I first started in the business world after teaching, I worked for my daughter for about 3.5 years in her marketing business. And then she closed that business and I was adrift. And I said, what am I really good at? And what I'm really good at is helping others find their voice. I can teach an elevator speech to a dog and it can be successful. Yes, of course. And I also am really very good at the 10-minute kind of speeches that people do in networking groups. So I can help so many people. And my passion, having taught for over 30 years, is to teach and to help people. I see myself as a person who really makes a difference in other people's lives, especially for business people. And that's very exciting to me. I love helping them.
Well, we're excited you're here. So take us back to when you were a young girl. And I know what this moment is. I just can't wait for people to hear.
Well, when I was 13 years old, I was sitting at the dinner table with my family, and we always had Sunday dinner. We had to do current events. It was a 2-hour event. And we were all sitting around over dessert. And my brother started to talk about college. My oldest brother was going to go to college the next year. And then the brother in between was going 2 years after that. And I was going after his first year. So there would be 3 of us in college at the same time. And
Wow.
my mother looked up and smiled and said, well, it's not as important for women to go to college. After all, the boys will be the bread makers. I practically had a heart attack. I couldn't breathe. I just sat there absolutely stunned. And I said, oh my God, they can't pay for me to go to college. What am I going to do? And after about 2 minutes, I said to myself, okay, after dinner's over, I'm going to make a plan. And I did. I said, okay, I'm going to try to excel. First of all, I'm going to see if I can get myself on the honors list at school. Then I'm going to try to see if I can join organizations in school. So I joined the French club and I joined the track team. But it was such a long time ago that they didn't offer women scholarships for track or for being in the French club. So I looked around, and one of my friends took me to a one-act play festival. And the award for the best actress, who happened to be from my school, was half a year's tuition at a women's college. And I said to myself, I can do that. I had never been in a play before. I started auditioning for everything. If it was within 2 buses and a train from where I lived, I took 2 buses and a train and I was acting and singing. I started taking voice lessons. And I was really dedicated to this mission. I won many trophies on the way for competition. And by my senior year, I was ready to audition for the main part so that I could win that competition. We were doing The Miracle Worker, so I had to be Helen Keller.
Ooh.
And I went around the house for 3 weeks with earmuffs and a blindfold on, trying to figure out how that would feel. So by the time the auditions came around, I got the part. And when we did the show, I won the prize. So I had then financing for half of my year at school. And the other thing that I was doing at the same time was trying to ramp up my academics.
So let me just stop you for just a second because there's some really important things here about what you said. So go back to when your mother said it's not as important. What happened? You said you stopped. You felt like you were having a heart attack, and it took 2 minutes, right, for you to kind of come out of it, and then immediately you took 2 steps. One was to beef up your academics. The second one was to do research.
Yes.
Right. And so then, now go back to the academic part because you also had to improve your academic. That was the first step. So what happened there?
What happened for academics was my school was so competitive. My high school, there was a test to get into the high school in the first place. But I was in the top 25 in terms of my classes. They didn't ask you what you were going to take. They told you what to take. They chose your classes. But I had never appeared on the honor roll, which was posted every quarter in the main hall with all the names and their GPAs to the third decimal point. And so I started working harder and harder at my academics. So much so that when I was the lead in the senior play, people were running all around and singing and laughing, and I was doing my homework because I had to do my homework. So the very last day of school, when I went to clean out my locker, I checked the post to see how I had done, see if I made the top 25. And I was number 1. I was overwhelmed. I was so touched. I could hardly believe it. I knew I had worked hard enough to make it happen, but the rest of those girls were really smart too.
So that was really being persistent as you realized what it was you wanted to do. So now let's jump forward to how you turned, your next awakening, or I'm sure you had other awakening moments, but I'd like to hear about the awakening moment when you turned from teaching drama in school to helping small business owners learn to express themselves in a way that they're memorable. What happened there? What kind of an awakening did you have to that next step of potential?
Well, this was interesting. It was somewhat gradual until it became a real big step. I worked for my daughter in her marketing firm, and one of my jobs was to do networking. and I saw how the elevator speech worked, and I saw how some people were very successful with it and some people were not.
Yeah.
So that when my daughter closed her marketing firm and I was sort of set adrift, I said to myself, gracious, why don't I go help these people who are doing networking that's really ineffective? Because I can teach them how to do elevator speeches, I can teach them how to do 10-minute speeches, and I can really make a difference. These are good people, they're selling good products and services. I want to help them.
But now you said it was gradual in a way, but was there a moment, like were you sitting in a particular environment when you had this awakening moment that this was your next step?
I was sitting in Cary Leeds, and there was a gentleman who had just moved to North Carolina from Kentucky. And you could see that he'd never encountered this kind of elevator speech to begin with. He had a computer with him, and some people had said that he had worked on their computers, and he seemed to be pretty good at what he did. But he got up and during his elevator speech, and he mumbled so no one could hear him. And he was very embarrassed. It was hard for him to do. He was afraid. And although he offered a wonderful service, I could see that people discounted him and immediately thought he's not competent because of the way he spoke. And I felt terrible for him. And I chatted with him in the break and said, can I help you with that? And I gave him a few tips, but he was not really open to much more than that. He was very embarrassed, and I didn't ever see him again. But I said to myself, I could really make a difference by doing this.
And when was that? How many years ago? A couple, 2, 3 years ago?
That was about 3.5 years ago, yes.
And so you've been helping people with that ever since, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Oh, that is so awesome. So, Marie, I want to ask you a question. Why is it that, you've heard the expression that people would rather die than do any public speaking?
Yes.
How do you, not so much why, but how do you help people overcome that block? Because that's huge. If you'd rather die than speak, there's something there, obviously. How do you help people ease or relax into it? Because they're coming in confused and with a whole lifetime worth of fear.
Yes.
So how do you help people?
Well, first I try to help my clients understand that when they speak, they are serving others. It's not really about them. It's about the other people and what they can do to help them. The same way it is when I'm coaching somebody. It's not about me, and it's not about do it like as I do it. It's about helping them to find a way that they can share their expertise with other people so that other people will take them up on that offer. When you're speaking, it's not about you. It's about the message.
That's heart-centered service.
Yes.
Right? Absolutely. As opposed to so it's an abundant mindset instead of a poverty mindset. The way you articulated that was the first thing for people to understand is to get focused in on how they make a difference for other people. Is that close to what you're saying?
Absolutely correct.
And what would be something else? So if I come to you and I really am challenged with this, you would talk to me about, what is my product and what is my service? What other thing might you do to help me relax and move forward even though I'm scared?
Well, one of the things we would do is write you an elevator speech so that it would work for you. It would not include any words that you were not comfortable with. It would be based on what you told me about your business so that I could write it for you so that it's simple and easy to remember. And then I would rehearse the heck out of it with you so that you could do it standing on your head if you needed to.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I love that. And for those of you who are listening, I've seen Marie work magic with speakers. So Marie, why is it, do you think, that there's so much fear around just doing a 30-second brief thing about the product that you really, you're selling it because you believe in it, What do you think is the reason people are generally so afraid to get up in front of others?
I think we feel exposed. It feels like you're naked, really. That's why people come up with the idea, picture the audience naked. I don't really go along with that. I really don't want to picture them naked. but, but I think the important thing is to remember that you have something of value that you want to give to them. And when you speak to them and you make them aware, if you're selling a product, you make them aware of this wonderful product that you believe in, then you can share that with them. The exchange, the business exchange, is a sharing, and it's a kindness rather than a beat down sale business.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's awesome. So, this has been so important because one was when you were young, and as a woman, you were faced with all of a sudden being told that, they weren't going to fund your college. And what did you do? Because you are a feisty person, that you would push through and be top in your school and then win the scholarship. And that's who you are for people. But then, translating that into helping small business owners is wonderful. So, Marie, tell me what your handout will be and how the handout can get people into action and start moving toward being more confident and, taking a little bit of a chance.
Well, I think what I will do is do some bullet points, suggestions for the elevator speech.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll do some bullet point suggestions for the 10-minute speech. And those are the two that are most common for most business people.
So once they work on these pages, can they send it to you and perhaps share with you, about that?
Yes, I would be happy to do that. And I would be happy to meet with people and help them rehearse at reasonable prices that they can afford, and that will make a huge difference in their business.
Excellent. Excellent. So for those of you who are listening, who are ready to have an awakening yourself into your infinite potential of at least doing a 30-second presentation without knees knocking, right, and mouth getting dry, you absolutely will want to download Marie's offer. And in that offer, there'll be a way for you to reach out to her. So Marie, is there anything else that you would like to leave us with about recognizing that you're in an awakening and taking those first few steps forward?
Well, I think when you want to move forward in your business, one of the first steps you need to take is to master your elevator speech, because then you have a way to talk about what you do. Even if you meet people at a cocktail party and you're shaking hands and somebody says, well, what do you do? Or where do you work? You have an answer that's short, that's clear, and that is spot on, so that people can say, oh, I know what this other person does, and yeah, I know that if I need this service, I can contact this person.
Got it. So that is fantastic. I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Marie, for being here with us today and sharing your busy time, because I know that what you do takes a lot of time with people. And this is Leslie Flowers, Trailblazer for Women in Business, and this has been Marie Snider, Awakening Your Infinite Potential Telesummit. Thank you, everyone. See you with the next presenter.